So this video is going to function similar to my Planet of the Apes appreciation video, where what I say about the thing I'm talking about in this video could be considered mini reviews. I'm also going to talk about the set that this comes in, and I'm also just going to talk about the show and what it means to me and why I appreciate it. So it's not necessarily a review, but it could be taken that way. So Rocky and Bullwinkle is a classic cartoon from the 60s. Has 163 episodes, all 5 seasons, which I did watch. Now, this is kind of what would you call it? It's kind of a show where there's multiple different bits, sketches, kind of. So we have the plots with Rocky and Bullwinkle, and them dealing with characters like Boris, Natasha, and Phyllis Litter. And they're fun characters. Rocky is the smarter character who can fly and is a squirrel and keeps Bullwinkle in line because he's not the brightest character at times, but he still means well. And so, yeah, that's kind of the dynamic with that skit. We have Mr. Peabody and Sherman, where they kind of go through an event in history, which is kind of weird watching that because there's a Mr. Peabody and Sherman, and in the context of Mr. Peabody and Sherman, Mr. Peabody's Sherman's dad. And in that movie, you feel that relationship more. It kind of feels like in this movie, Sherman is like Peabody's pet. Like, he's the dog in the relationship, even though it's the other way around. Which is funny to think about, but it's also just kind of weird and off-putting. So I never really liked those skits. You have Dudley Do Right, which is just a goofy, kind of dumb Canadian. Sorry, my cat was scratching at the door. I was like, what the hell? And then you have Fractured Fairy Tales, which is kind of a skit about, like, spoofing fairy tales. Kind of classic ones like Beauty and the Beast and stuff. Which is interesting because in the 60s, now we have movies like Beauty and the Beast. There were still, like, Disney fairy tales, but there wasn't as many as there are now. So the sketches here are kind of fresh. and they're not like... Now when you see people parodying those fairy tales, they're parodying the Disney versions because those are so iconic. But this was actually spoofing, like, the original fairy tales, which is kind of interesting, and I think that's awesome. It says right here, actually, the show premiered in 1959, but still, it ran throughout the 60s. But why I appreciate this show is it's a very witty show. The writing here is like, wow. At times it's a little goofy. Like the puns. There's a lot of puns in the show, and some of them are brilliant puns, and then some of them are like kind of groaners. But this show is like an example of how you don't need good animation to make a good movie or show. Like, it's kind of weird saying that, but like this animation is not very good. It's very ugly and kind of bad. It's very, like, sketchy. It's not really the best. It's not terrible. Like, you can look at it and be like, still watch it. Like, it doesn't hurt your eyes to look at. It just doesn't look great. But the writing is so good that you ignore that fact, and it's great for that reason. Again, there's some groaner jokes in there, but a lot of them are incredibly witty and smart jokes, and some of them took me multiple viewings to get and understand. And Rocky and Bullwinkle is a great series. I think it's amazing that this show from the 60s still holds up as well as it does. Like, again, this show premiered in 1959, and I'm watching it today and still laughing at it. It's a great show. It has so many great things about it. I love it. Now let's talk about the set, and then we'll talk about some of the other Rocky and Bullwinkle media out there. Now, I haven't seen anything besides the movie and the Amazon Prime original show. So talk about that. And again, I did talk about the Peabody and Sherman movie, so I'm not going to mention that. And I've never seen the Dudley Do Right movie. I'm not planning to, but so in this box set, the cheapest this goes for is about $20, which is a good deal. $20 for the show, great deal. Here's the box set here. Now this is the episode guide. It's a booklet, has descriptions of the episodes. Does it include air dates? No, some of these booklets now, I wonder why they include air dates, which I don't mind that. It's just interesting. But yeah. And this is like Animaniacs. It's kind of a sketch comedy show, so there's multiple different sketches. You know, Animaniacs, the original one, they'll have like, it'll be like, hey, we're gonna put the Goodfeathers in this episode, and they're part one sketch, and then you have the Warner Brothers sketch, and then you have Pinky and the Brain sketch. So it's like different things like that. That's kind of how it works. But yeah. So there'll be like multiple episodes listed as on the episode because to fill a time slot, they had to air all those sketches. Then you go in here. Now here's the disc. This is season 1, 4-disc. Now, season 2 is a very long season. So if you notice, there's no artwork on this. That's because these discs are double-sided. Now here's my issue with it. I've only watched these once. I've been very careful with them. I pulled them out of the package and they were already scratched and had fingerprints on them. And now they're more scratched because I watched them and they still play, but that's a big issue. Double-sided disc technology never works. It's terrible. And then you have the rest of the seasons. There's about 5. But yeah, it fits in here. It's nice. And yes, this is meant to come out. But yeah. It's just... without those double-sided discs, this would be a perfect set. Because again, none of my other discs have scratches or fingerprints on them. Because... yeah, I mean... They don't. Because that's how it works to watch this. It just sucks so much. But yeah, there's lots of fun bonus features and stuff. But yeah, this is a great set if you're a big fan of the show. They did an original box set that went out of print and then got really ridiculously pricey. And Universal saw the demand for it and said, "Look, we still got the rights to this. Let's put it out." But they didn't want to make it as big as that last set, so they kind of packaged it smaller into this nice set, which I'm glad companies are doing this, because I mean it is ridiculous when you could do something like this and then you make like this large box set and make each season its individual box sets. Like, okay, but you don't need to do that. You could just do something like this and it's simple and it's fine and it works and I can still watch it. So I appreciate that. Now, I don't own the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. I will get it. I want that movie on Blu-ray because I actually do like that movie. Here's my thing about that movie. It is that kind of Smurfs, Alvin and the Chipmunks thing where characters come to the real world and they interact with people. And, like, those movies are terrible, but Rocky and Bullwinkle acts like Rocky and Bullwinkle. When I watched it for the first time, I didn't like it because I didn't get what it was trying to do. I was like, why is there narration? Why does this feel like so lame and corny? And then I was like, oh, I watched Rocky and Bullwinkle and I immediately got what it was doing. And Robert De Niro as Fearless Leader is a great casting, and he's hilarious in the movie. They make jokes to Roger Rabbit, and they have a lot of fun with it. And it feels like Rocky and Bullwinkle just brought to live action, and with the lame, stupid, and corny jokes, just like the original had. And I think why it didn't do so well critically and financially is probably just because, fact is, Rocky and Bullwinkle is a very good show, but maybe like modern audiences seeing this in a film like this wouldn't get it, and most people who are watching the film wouldn't be aware of Rocky and Bullwinkle as a series because it was from the 60s, so most people went into it not seeing the series and being like, what the hell is this? And I think that's a smart. I still think it was a good movie though, and I think um, for what it was trying to be, anyways, which is a fun version of Rocky and Bullwinkle brought to live action. I don't think it was gimmicky or bad. It didn't have a lot of the modern references that some of these other movies do, and it's kind of sad it's been mostly forgotten because I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was actually pretty good. Um, and then you have the Amazon Prime show, which um, one of the best reboots of an animated series because it not does the Animaniacs thing where they cut out a lot of the skits. You don't have Mr. Peabody and Sherman and stuff because it's made by DreamWorks, and DreamWorks made a Mr. Peabody and Sherman show, and that's on Netflix. And that show, I really don't like. It doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know. It's really boring, and the humor just is really juvenile. But in this Rocky and Bullwinkle one, it feels just like the original. It's still made by DreamWorks, but it feels just like the original. Just omitting some of the sketches, it does what Rocky and Bullwinkle would do, is that they have an arc that goes over multiple episodes with our two characters, and they always end with the narration. Now find out what happens on the next episode of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and the voice actors feel just like the originals. They don't even sound different, really. It's great, and it's a great reboot. It's on Amazon Prime. I believe it's on its third or second season. So if you haven't seen it and you're a Rocky and Bullwinkle fan, do that. It's a great series on Amazon Prime. It's probably one of the best animated series on there. Now, that's not saying much. They don't have like a ton of shows like Netflix does. So there's not very many animated shows on there. Unlike Netflix, and Netflix is great because it has like adult and kid shows, so you have like a good balance of stuff in there. There's shows made for teens, stuff like that, but Amazon Prime not so much, which is unfortunate. I hope that they do more. But yeah, it's a great series. I love Rocky and Bullwinkle, and I think there's a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle good stuff out there that's actually kind of not well known, and that's kind of unfortunate. It's classic animation. I know the characters from the series have become beloved by animation fans, and the original has been beloved, but some of this other stuff hasn't been appreciated at least as much as it should have. And I think it's time, if you haven't seen the movie and you like Rocky and Bullwinkle, give it a shot. If you don't like it, cool. Amazon Prime show, check it out. Check out the different Rocky and Bullwinkle stuff out there, because there's a lot there to appreciate that's not being appreciated, which is unfortunate. And I don't suspect this video will get a lot of views. I'm kind of just making this because I'm a fan and I want to share my appreciation for something. I didn't expect, if I made a review of the original Planet of the Apes, to do a ton of views. So instead I made an appreciation video for the whole franchise. And I think that's a lot more fun to do. Because as much as it's fun to talk about more current shows and things like that, sometimes I just want to talk about things I'm a fan of instead of always what my audience wants to see, which of course is more current stuff. But of course I like talk about just about everything I talk about, but I try to also talk about things I love and want to talk about more than just, okay, well, I'm doing this because my audience wants to see it, but also there's like a 5% of me that wants to make this video. So yeah, and I hope if you're a Rocky and Bullwinkle fan, you found this video interesting. Hopefully maybe you learned about stuff. I know there's some Rocky and Bullwinkle comics. I might actually check those out and read those. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.